Warning: the following video may have language that some viewers may find offensive, and others are already offended. Viewer discretion is advised, but not really. No animals were hurt in the making of this 4-hour feature film.
Today on the Full Monty, we've got a man who spent years as the afternoon drive host on BX93, which basically means he talked nonstop while the rest of London was stuck in traffic. And he pretended to feel the pain from the comfort of an air conditioned studio. Meanwhile, here in St. Thomas, we were just trying to get past the train again. He's also the former music director, the guy who decided what the entire city listened to. So if you've ever found yourself humming to a country song against your will, while waiting for the lights to change on Talbot Street, you can thank this guy. Chris Harding is the only person who could put a song into rotation and have it echoing through every Tim Hortons drive-through from London to St. Thomas within minutes. He's interviewed stars, wrangled callers, and survived more. Can you give me? Uh, well, let's try it this way. Can you give my cousin a shout out? And Chris has had more messages of this than probably any human should endure. But anyway, let's be honest. After years of programming playlists, he's probably heard of every country song so many times he can predict the lyrics before the singer even opens their mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, hide your radios, protect your sanity, and prepare for the man who controlled London's airwaves like a caffeinated puppet master and who still can't pronounce half the street names in St. Thomas. Chris?
I'm close.
You're close?
I'm close.
Chris Harding. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Tony.
God, it's been a long time since we've
Yeah.
been able to sit down and chat. I think the last time I actually saw you at work, I came down with my mom. I brought her into the radio station for a visit one time. Probably something that Karen, my wife at that time, had won on the radio.
Probably.
She was
Probably.
She was quite an avid winner all the time with Dave and Jackie, and
Yep.
the amount of times I had to
And
go
then
to the station.
and then Dave and Rachel and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
our our team was solid, but there was often changes.
Yeah.
Sometimes subtle, and sometimes more changes in the back end of the building. But
Yeah.
but
There was, okay, so you were on the afternoon, Dave, back in, like, I'm talking about the time when I was in Grand Bend and that, it was Dave and Jackie in the morning.
Yep.
Mark Lapointe.
Mark moved into our sister station, Easy Rock,
Okay.
and did the afternoon drive show on Easy Rock.
Okay. You guys were all kind of like family to us back then, because, I mean, we listened all the time.
Yeah,
every day.
and sadly, unlike family, when somebody leaves, they just disappear.
Yeah.
Very seldom do the powers that be allow somebody to say, "Hey, I'm leaving, goodbye." That was maybe manifested itself when years after I was gone, they let Steve Garrison go on
Okay.
1290 CJBK, and people were horrified. Just one day Garrison was there, and the next day Steve was
Just
gone.
gone.
And
Yeah.
and the competition, Radio 98, invited Steve to come over and do an air shift and say goodbye to his audience.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
which I
that's
thought
cool.
was fabulous.
Okay, so
Way to go, Chorus Entertainment.
let's get into this a little bit. Why does that happen, Chris? Like, what makes a decision? Like, say you were
Can't tell you
doing
that.
your show.
I don't have any idea.
You don't have any idea?
Um,
Why, like, okay, I know shows get canceled. Actually, I had that on when I was out on 89.5 The Eagle.
Yep.
And I went in one day to do it, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, no, your show's done."
You're done. Your key doesn't work.
No idea. Had no idea.
Yeah,
But,
and I'm not sure why the powers that be do that. If you resign, you usually get the opportunity to, on your last shift, to say goodbye.
okay.
When
Are they afraid, like, you're probably gonna slam them, like,
I,
live
I,
on
th-
air?
I,
Is
I
that-
think they're probably afraid that you might slam them and maybe do some reputational harm,
Okay.
lock the studio doors and play the same terrible song over and over and over.
Yeah.
take this job and shove it
Yeah,
and play
yeah.
it over and over and
Yeah,
over?
it's got 1,500 plays coming up.
I have no idea.
Wow.
I
You
do know
probably
that the person that replaced me stayed long enough to get his insurance license, and then he
Okay.
left, but he left on his time
on his thing.
as opposed to their time.
Okay.
And
Now, when you left, did you retire, or was it them that made that decision for
they
you?
made the decision.
Did they? Okay.
And they were cleaning the company that I worked for at that time.
Yeah.
Had sold the company to Bell, and were
Okay.
just finishing up time. And the story that I heard, and I don't know how much of it is true, was that somebody wanted to make their numbers on paper look better.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yep.
but I think 6 people got let go the day that I got let go.
Wow.
I think because it happens so often, every 6 months they were
Yep.
they were just cleaning people out of the house.
Television, same thing. They were cleaning studios out everywhere.
Yeah, and it happens. And part of that TV exodus was the lead up to Bell taking over the Astral radio stations.
Right.
And so that there was that was a pretty big shift. But in the time that I worked there at 743 Wellington Road, I think we were bought and sold. I think the ownership changed either 6 or 7 times.
Okay. Wow.
And
Holy.
and so I
Yeah.
survived 6. I
You
just
did.
didn't survive 7.
So how did that end though? What did they do? Like the date you were aware that you were your show,
I was
everything was done.
I was filling in for the morning show, Dave and Rachel,
Okay.
and so it was probably a Friday morning, and finished my shift, and I got called down to the boardroom, and when I walked in, the vice president of human resources was there, and a good buddy of mine who now manages Al Smith, who now manages the Rogers radio stations in town,
Okay.
or operations manager, I think. And they said, "Hey, we have to make this is a business decision. We have to make some changes."
Yeah.
And sadly, you're one of those. They let Miss Vicky, our receptionist, go that day.
I loved her.
And
She was
and
good.
and how much money do they save replacing the receptionist?
I know. Yeah.
I never quite understood that. Obviously, somebody sitting in their oak paneled boardroom in Toronto went, let's just pick these people off.
I
And
saw that with television where I think it was younger faces, younger personalities they wanted.
sometimes sometimes it's literally just money. If you came in the back door, the employee door of 743 Wellington Road, there was a panel. I don't know whether you can see this. You can't see this on the
Yeah.
camera. There was a panel like
You'll
this.
see it on this one.
Okay. There's a panel like this that had employees' names and a little toggle switch. And the logic was you're either in the building or you're not. And if you're not in the building, I don't care when you think you're coming back, you're going to be late anyway. So let's not tell them when you think you're coming back. You're either here or you're not. And if you're not here, we'll take a message. That's pretty easy.
Oh, okay.
And so the owner of the company at that time used to come down from Toronto, and he'd look at the board and go, fire this person. He had no idea who the people were. Fire this person and this person.
Because their toggle switch was
Because
off.
their toggle switch was there, and he just picked names at random.
Wow.
And Skip Prokop from Lighthouse was
Yeah.
one of our salespeople. And Skip came in one day with a screwdriver, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he took his name off the board.
Oh, did he?
So that the owner at that time would come down and he'd look, and Skip's name wasn't there. So Skip wasn't afraid of being terminated
Oh, cool.
just by random whatever. I don't
He found
remember.
the loophole right there.
Yeah, which I thought was great.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. So growing up, Chris, where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Toronto.
Okay.
My parents, I lived in Don Mills,
Okay.
and that city, like London, like St. Thomas, has just exploded. When my parents moved out to the edge of the city, out in the boonies. Behind our back fence was a 100-acre farm, and there was a little church, and then this 100-acre farm. And horses used to come and graze in the field, and I used to feed them apples
Oh yeah,
through
yeah,
the fence.
yeah.
Well, that 100-acre farm is now Don Mills, 4 lanes or 6 lanes of Don Mills Road. I think there's 4, maybe 5 high-rise condos and the entire Seneca College campus.
It's actually, it breaks your heart a lot of times when you see things that you grew up and remember. I have that in Mitchell with the people that my dad used to go see in the field, and my sister had her horses and
Yeah.
the apple orchards, and
Yeah,
it's all community now.
Yep,
residential.
it's all
Yeah.
high-rise. At the other side of that 100-acre farm was a 2-lane road, Woodbine, which is now Highway 404, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Also nicknamed the Don Valley parking
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
That's-
my dad worked in advertising. We were talking about stories before we came on about my dad. He worked until he was 64 and got laid off, and then went back to work for another 20 years. So I have that work ethic.
Yeah. Yeah.
He worked in advertising, and on occasion would take me, just pull me out of school to go and do something cool. And he pulled me out of school one day, and took me down to Yorkville Sound, right downtown Toronto, where they were recording commercials for the company that he worked for. And a Toronto radio announcer named John Wilson did the voiceover, and
Okay.
I was the stopwatch guy. And so I just sat and clicked as John was recording these
Oh.
scripts. 29 seconds, 29 seconds, 29 seconds.
Oh,
John was perfect. The scripts were well written. And then my father handed him a check, which
Yeah.
was a sizable, I don't remember how much, but it was a sizable amount of money for a 17 or 18-year-old kid.
okay.
And that's it.
That's
And those commercials would run on radio stations all over Southern Ontario.
oh my God.
And
Cool.
and every time I heard one, I went, that was 29 seconds. I know it was because I found it. So that
That's
was the
cool.
spark that got me interested in broadcasting.
Okay.
In high school, we set up the very first high school radio station in a Toronto school, Radio A.Y. Jackson. One of my colleagues at Royal LePage, Triland, Sean Mitchell, also went to A.Y. Jackson, and
Cool.
so he may be one of the few people in the whole area that'll go, I know what that is. And so we broadcast before classes and over lunch hour, and then we'd take a very long mic cable out to the football field and do play-by-play of our high school football games,
Oh, cool.
not having a clue what we were doing.
Oh, cool.
But we learned by making 1.5 million mistakes and had a blast doing it.
Yeah.
Some of those people have crossed my path over my broadcast career. High school up the road set up their own radio station to mimic ours, and one of the radio team at that high school was the marketing director of Anthem Records, and the company that bought us, where the guy would come down and flick off the names off that board. His son's best friend was a guy from that radio station,
Oh,
that
okay.
other high school from Thornlea.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
a lot of my background, a lot of my history has just kind of followed me through my various careers.
That's cool.
The president of Fanshawe College says that the average person will go through 5 careers in their working world, and real estate is number 5.
As you got into radio, what was, say, one of your most favorite interviews, Chris, at BX93 in London? I know you have talked to so many stars, country music artists, and that. I absolutely love. I have, a very good friend of mine, Jamie Warren, and
Yep.
won a lot of awards. Canada's most awarded independent country artist. Jamie's a great guy. Talk to him a lot, and
Jamie was in and out of the radio station so often.
Yeah.
But so many other artists were.
So who sticks out in your mind like, wow, that was cool?
Um, I can think of I can think of three that you'll like.
Yeah.
Um, I have an uh, I worked with a consultant from Seattle, and and um, and whenever there was changes within our company at the time, um, and they needed some music help or whatever, call Chris. So
Okay.
so as one of the radio stations on the East Coast, or sorry, West Coast, was being, they brought in a new announcer who was Australian, and so I we got together a few times when he was in Ontario, but we would they sent me a backup of his music system, and so I'd pull it up on my computer, and he'd pull it up on his computer out west. Um, I'm going to say Fort St. John, but I'm not sure that's right.
Okay.
And then we just go through. Okay, let's go to category A. Okay, keep it, keep it, keep it, get rid of it. And we just cleaned out his database. Um, there was a tendency back in those days for lots of young programmers that didn't know the difference. They would add in songs, but like if you live in in a a bachelor apartment, you have to kind of make it a rule that when I bring something in, I have to send something out
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
don't have enough room. And they would have a database of like thousands of songs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I looked through those songs, I would go, who are these people? Who
Yeah.
are these people? There is benefit to um, playing songs that your particular audience might be familiar with, but by and large, when people tuned into your radio station at that time, they wanted to hear Alan Jackson and Toby Keith, and this new cat named Keith Urban, and maybe a Taylor Swift song or two, and then maybe a Mudman song because they had just played in your city
Yeah,
or in
true.
your town. And so later, we at BX93 found a way to play songs that were important to our audience. We went through his database, and I got to know this guy from Australia, and I'm waiting for an interview. You can see where this is going.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for an interview. Somebody's going to call me, and I don't get the phone call. I don't get the phone call. What I discovered later is Miss Vicky's phone rings at the front desk, and this voice says, "G'day, this is Keith Urban. I'm looking for Chris Harding."
Oh
And
my
she went,
goodness.
"It is not. Stop that," and hung up on him
No way.
because she thought it was my Australian buddy who used to do that all the time.
Oh, you joke? Yeah.
Phone rings again. I think we got cut off. This is Keith Urban, and I'm looking for Chris Harding. And she's, "Stop that," and she hangs up on him again. So I wandered down to the front desk, and I said, "I'm waiting for a phone call from Keith Urban." She went, "No."
Oh no.
She said, "I just hung up on him." And then the record company rep calls and says, "Yeah, Keith keeps getting cut off." And she's like, "I am so sorry. I am so sorry."
Oh, I bet you he laughed at
And
that
he
though
and so
afterwards.
they put him through,
Yeah.
and I said, "I'm really sorry. I have this Australian buddy who does this." I said, "I'm sure you get this, wherever somebody knows someone with an Australian accent."
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, I've encountered this a few times." And so I got to do my interview with Keith Urban,
Oh, that's cool.
which was great.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
in my office, I had a picture of me running my first marathon in Toronto.
Okay.
And of all the things, I had autographed pictures of artists and whatnot. And of all the things that got people's attention, it was that picture. And Johnny Reed
Okay.
and I were talking. He was in to do an interview, and we got talking about he said, "We have a marathon in Nashville." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And I said, "I've considered running the Nashville Marathon." And he reached in, got something out of his pocket, flipped it over, and he's writing down. And gives me, "Here's my home phone number." He said, "If you came to Nashville and didn't call me, I'd be really, really cheesed off."
No shoot.
And
Really?
so of all the things that I have in my phone, is Johnny Reed's home phone number,
That's cool.
which I think is kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
We used to do a lunchtime thing where an artist would come in and bring their guitar and sing songs and
Yeah.
chat, Dave and Jackie and Dave and Rachel, and they hosted most of them, and they must have been away. And Carol and Don Johnson came in.
Okay.
And I learned to do interviews by listening to people. And so I had a business card with 2 questions on it. And I sat down, and Carolyn and I'm a fan. I was at her album release party, so I know lots of her background.
Yeah.
And but we did an hour with Carolyn singing and playing songs and just chatting just like this.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, her manager came over and she said, "That's the best interview Carolyn's ever done." And she said,
That'll make you feel good.
"How did you what was your pathway?"
Yeah.
And I said, and I showed her I had a business card with 2 questions on it.
Okay.
And after that, Carolyn and I just talked. I asked only 1 question, and we just talked, and then I listened, and and she said, Carolyn did an interview yesterday with CBC, and the interviewer had pages of questions that their research person had given them, and one of the questions was, where did the name for your first album come from? Room with a View. And it was a tribute to her younger brother, who had a terminal disease, had got out of hospital, and came home, and they were deciding, where was the best place for him in the house. And he said, "All I want is a room with a view."
Oh, wow.
And she told that story, and the CBC interviewer went, "That's great," and then asked the next question on his page. He wasn't paying attention to what the person was saying.
Okay.
And I learned, you're right. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But that was great. It was a great education check mark for me. I just paid attention to what people were saying, and I got to do lots of very cool.
And people don't realize when you're doing this kind of, especially on camera, because I said I loved radio. I go in a lot of times, I'd sit down, I think, okay, what am I actually going to do today? What am I going to build? And then I get the mic in front of me, and boom, away I go. This is so much harder because I've always said I got a face for radio. It ain't for this, but
I've been told that a few times too.
Well, no worries. It's tough because people don't realize when you're, I have my list, and I try to go off that, right? I have questions I want. I always steer away from it. But trying to think of what I'm going to be asking you next or following up on what you're talking about, but trying to listen to you at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
You got to really,
Yeah, and especially when it's somebody that you know.
Yeah.
Because you know the answers or have a sense of the answers to the questions you're about to ask.
Yeah.
But you really have no idea where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But you want to take them to along a pathway. That's the phrase that I used when you and I were talking off camera. But when you in your brain you put the interview together, where do I want this to go?
Well, I've always looked at this as type of it's like reading a book.
Yeah.
So I have my intro, I have the build up, and then you have your, you're in the center of it, you're right at the heat, and then at the end you're coming out. You build it up, you come down. I never wanted to do one where it's like ramping right up and we're going, and then it's okay, thanks folks, bye. No.
Yeah.
We
don't have time for part 2.
But I do have something for you as we end this radio part right now, because we only got about 6 minutes or so.
Okay.
So hang on tight here.
Okay.
I'm going to leave this rolling. I'm going to leave this in. I have something for you that I wanted to put out. Now this is just so that you will feel more at home. Okay.
Well,
so there
thank
we
you.
are.
Thank you, Tony.
I wanted Chris to make sure that he had a microphone.
Thank you.
Yep. Doesn't that make it feel a little bit better now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got the clip-on mic. Mind you, we have no wires or nothing.
That's
there.
okay. It's wireless.
Yeah, that one's wireless. That's right. It's one of the new ones. So there you go, Chris. I wanted to make you feel like you're at home.
Thank you.
So anyway, radio. Yeah, I missed a lot of those days from back then. Everybody there.
I got a chance to do radio for not quite 50 years.
Yeah.
And I got an opportunity through my radio career to do things that most people will never do.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
do. I got a chance to hang out with people that most people will never get a chance to hang out with.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I got a chance to do interviews, but
Yeah.
you know, when Johnny Reed gives me his home phone number and says, "Call me,"
Yeah.
and we missed an
That's
interview
cool.
one day, and he said, "You've got my home phone number. Why didn't you just call?" And I and Canadians are by and large not the kind of people that are going to call and bug you.
Yeah.
I don't call
I know.
people at home, even though I can.
Yeah.
I don't. You know, medical friends. I've got friends that are doctors and surgeons. I don't call them at home and ask them. I have a, I don't feel well. You know, what should I do? If they reach out to me, that's a different ballgame. But I tend not to do that. But I got a chance to do things that most people never do. I got a chance to fly with the snowbirds.
That's cool.
4 times. The last time he let me fly the plane.
Oh, really? You are
we're
lucky.
we're flying along, and he said, "Okay, roll it up on its wingtip," and I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
He said, "No, give me control." And I have a son who's a pilot. I have 2 boys that are pilots actually, and so I understand. Tony, you have control, and you have to say, "I have control." You have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, okay.
And so we're flying along. Okay, you have control. I have control. And he takes it and he snaps it up, and he said, because he couldn't. He said, "I don't know where Snowbird 9 is. Should be to our left, but we're not exactly sure." And flying along, he can't see them. And so he snaps it up in the wingtip and he goes, "Oh, there he is." And then rolls it around, aileron roll, and said, "And by the way, we're not allowed to do that." Okay, you have control. And he hands me back control, and I can do whatever I want. And so I'm flying along, and he's trimming the aircraft, and what a blast. I've raced elephants. I'm on an elephant, and Bill Lee, the spaceman, Major League Baseball player, is on an elephant, and we're racing down the in front of a shopping mall. It was a promotion for the circus, but I got to race elephants with Bill Lee. I got to hang out with Paul Coffey. I raced. I drove the radio station van while my boss went in a train from Moncton, New Brunswick to Bathurst. It was a CN promotion trying to revitalize that particular route. And so people were driving from Bathurst to Moncton. Take the train, take the train. And so we raced up, and I have a city police officer to ensure that I'm not breaking any laws. And I'm coming into Bathurst. I know the train has already arrived, so I've already lost the battle. And it wasn't designed that way, but I've already lost the battle. And I came over doing seriously over the speed limit. And as I come over the hill, flashing lights at the bottom of the hill, and the officer beside me went, "Oh, we're in trouble." And then the lights went off. And then they turned back on again and went off. At the bottom of the hill was an RCMP officer to guide me through Bathurst, because I had no clue where I was going, and this was before GPS. And he's just bombing through town, and I'm struggling.
You're just trying to keep up.
I'm just trying to keep up, and I'm a pretty decent driver. I've driven stock cars more than a few times. I did a race at Delaware Speedway.
Did you?
Back in the a very long time ago.
Okay, yeah.
And one other driver, one other media person, my friend Jim Connell, had driven Formula Ford out at Moseport, and some of the other guys really didn't know how to drive.
Okay.
Knew how to drive, you know, in the city streets, but driving on a race car track is a different ballgame.
Yeah.
And so our deal was, we would be in front. One of us would be in front. And when we came out of turn 2, the race was on. Backstretch, the last 2 turns, and then into the finish line, and then whoever won, whoever won, and I beat Jim by, I don't know, 6 inches.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But the guy who finished third ended up in a vehicle that was not automatic, and he'd never driven a shift.
Oh.
So he didn't know how to drive 5-speed, and he never got out of first gear. So it was not a screaming fast race until we got out of turn 2.
Hey, but look at it on this side. You always have positives, right? So he still placed third
Yeah.
out of that race.
And
So,
we had a blast.
and he's not a stick driver.
Yeah.
So he did good.
So lots of fun.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
And that was, but I got to do lots of things that
That's
most
cool.
people never get to do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
played hockey in Moncton with NHL players.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty cool.
and learn some subtlety that you would never know if you didn't. As parents,
Yeah.
we stand around the rink and hear our kids yelling, pass it to me, pass it to me. On the ice, the NHL players don't do that.
No.
It's very quiet. I heard Rick Bowness say, "I'm right here."
Wow.
And I didn't recognize the voice and had no idea who it was. So I didn't pass the puck until I took my shot on the goaltender. My slap shot's going to hurt a NHL goaltender.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And looked over my shoulder, and Rick Bowness was right there, wide open.
Yeah.
That would have been an easy goal, but I didn't.
But you don't recognize that, so you're thinking, well, it's just the other team.
Yeah, it could have
player.
been. Yeah, it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and Rick and I laughed about it,
Yeah.
afterwards. But like I say,
I'm sure it happens in a regular NHL game though too.
Oh,
that
sure.
somebody says something, it's
they're
like,
just
yeah,
playing.
right. I'm
Yeah,
not
they're
kidding.
just playing games.
Yeah.
But
no, that,
But my radio career allowed me to do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
allowed me to get better at the next career,
Yeah.
and then the next career, and then
Yeah.
you take some skills from that forward, and so career number 5 has been not an easy transition,
Yep.
but there was a transition into career number 5, building on the things that I'd done before.
well, and that's where I was going to lead, because now we're into real estate now,
Yeah.
and it just I was so amazed when I saw you pop up as real estate. And
As a
everything.
real estate-
I think I saw your post where you said you were going into the
Yeah.
learning and all that. All the years of interviews and talking to people, Nat, I mean, yeah, that totally translates into real estate and
Really, it's what I-
showing people and
It's what I do with clients when I take them through a house. I
Yeah.
show them what I see. I'm
Yeah.
not a home inspector.
Yep.
I always recommend home inspectors.
Yep.
But I show them what I see. And when you're thinking about buying a house, you're walking in and thinking, what projects am I going to have? Am I going to have to repaint the house? Am I going to have to redo the roof? Am I going to have to put on new windows? And so as I'm walking through, I'm giving you the benefit of my years of buying houses,
Mhm.
my years of walking through houses with people, and I'm showing you what my home inspectors have taught me, because you do one home inspection, I do a dozen or more, 15, 20 maybe, in the course of a year as we are looking at buying houses. So,
Right.
so I've been through it. Before I bought a new house about 15 months ago. And before I bought it, I walked through it with 2 home inspectors because I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Awesome.
So
are you busy? Real estate doing not too bad?
real estate is quiet right now.
Yeah.
I've been battling some health issues on the side, and fixing up this cute little house that I bought.
Nice.
At one point, 12 people lived in my 900 square foot house,
Wow.
totally illegally, but
Yeah.
it happens.
Hey, it happens.
And
sure it does.
in this
But-
building,
Yeah.
You rent an apartment to one person,
All right.
and by the time closing day rolls around, you've got 4 people living in bunk beds upstairs.
I've had them where there's been a 2-bedroom apartment. I've had 8 people.
Yep.
So,
And so
but according to landlord-tenant laws and stuff, it's 1 person per 100 square feet.
is that the
Yeah.
rule?
Yeah. So on
Yeah.
a 855 square foot apartment, you can have 8.5 people. I don't know who the 0.5 person is, but
That's a
Maybe
dog.
a dog or
Or
I
a
was going to
cat.
say a little baby or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, Chris, would you come back sometime?
Yeah. I'd love
We
to.
haven't even touched this yet.
Yeah, we
Really,
haven't.
I
Yep.
think it's so cool. You've got so many things, years of
Sorry,
radio.
I
But
hijacked your interview by telling stories.
hey, that's all right. Yeah, I'm completely out of time. But I wanted to get in a little bit more of the real estate market because I have had St. Thomas. I had Jeff Weston here from Street
Yep.
City. Jeff was in. We talked about our real estate market here. I've had Jeff Kohler in from mortgages.
Yep.
And
Mayor
we
of the
talked
city.
about that side. Yeah. He was former mayor.
Yep.
Yes, Jeff, and current still counselor. I've had Joe Preston in, our mayor, current mayor.
Yep.
He's been in a.
Good guy.
Yeah, Joe's a good guy. We've had a few talks with him and on the phone. I've had all kinds of counselors. I've had Elmer. I've got coming up soon. I'm going to have Andrew Sloan coming in from Central Elgin.
Yep.
And your mayor, Josh.
Yep.
Morgan. He's
Morgan.
going to be coming on the show, and then I'm going to be doing a special show where I'm going to have Andrew, Joe, Josh, and I'm going to see if I can get Elmer's mayor. We're all going to put the big table in here, and
Nice.
I'm going to have them all in here.
Nice.
So we can all sit and shoot the
Shoot the breeze.
shoot the doodles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, folks, there you go. Chris Harding, he's still around, eh? He's still here.
Online, chrisharding.realtor.
There you go. ChrisHarding.realtor. Okay. Yeah. So Chris is still doing well in London. You looking for a place? Yeah, give him a shout. So yeah, thanks for coming.
London or St. Thomas, by the way.
Yeah. Do you get a pretty good market down here?
Yeah, actually, I spend a lot of time driving back and forth along
Okay.
Highbury in Wellington,
Yes,
back
yes.
and forth.
Yeah, the good
Um,
roads.
Yep. My insurance agent is here in St. Thomas.
Oh, is that okay?
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, with PowerCo and everything going on here now, I'm sure this whole area is.
Yeah, this is
as we get closer.
I think it's going to explode
yes.
in the next whatever.
I said a long time ago that people that if they have vision and they're entrepreneurs, whatever, get building Highbury, Ron McNeil area in
Yep.
that area. Now we have Joe saw that. He put Wendy's up there now. We have the Subway, the Timmy's. Anybody else gets in that area when those factories, I mean, we're still a few years off.
Yep.
But you
I stopped at that Timmy's on my way in, actually.
oh, did you? Yeah, that's a good tip. All right, Chris.
Good
Thanks
to see
again.
you. I'll be back.
Okay, there he goes. Chris said he's coming back, folks. So thanks for tuning in to the full Monty. You can see it right here, Rogers TV in St. Thomas, London, Woodstock, and Tilsonburg, and all those little communities in between.
Nice.
Right? All right. Take care, folks. Thanks again. Tell everybody about the show. Facebook, YouTube, and Rogers. Talk to you.